Hi there. Today I'm going to teach you how to do this oil pastel of boats. And we're going to use some brown watercolor dye as a resist upon it. And what's interesting about this picture is this time we're going to use a master painting from Wiki Art. Ta-da! There it is, by Fern. And this one is in the public domain, so we're allowed to use it. Yay! Let's get started. Today we're going to use a master's work as our inspiration for our artwork. So I have here a reference of a painting by Fern, and I'm not going to try to pronounce her name because I'll probably get it wrong, and I don't know. And I am going to attempt Norman's Woe, Gloucester, Massachusetts. How'd I do? So this is in the public domain, which means that there's no copyright on copying these. So it's kind of fun, educational to use some master's works. And I had never heard of Dear Fern, but I found her works and I really like them. And I really like this one with the boats and these colors. And so this is how we're going to start with a little bit of a section on copying from masters with Norman's Woe, Gloucester, Massachusetts by Fern. We have our normal 8x10 piece of paper and we have it taped down, and I went with kind of narrow margins so that I could have more room for those boats and ships. And remember, I said we'll be inspired by Fern. One of the big differences is this picture is almost a square and we have more of a rectangle. So we're going to go with the side to side. This is a rectangle, but it's just a little bit more extreme. So I'm going to do some adjustments to make it work for us. So first off, near to the back, I'm going to have a nice horizon line. So notice I hold my pencil still with my fingers and I move my arm. Not my fingers, not my wrist, to get a nice horizon line. And then the mountains are going to be rather close to that line. So see, so that we have fun sky up there. So more sky, a little bit of mountains. We're already making a great start. And also, don't press with all your might because we're going to have to erase stuff eventually. And it's just best and easier to erase if you haven't pressed with all your might. All right, so first, we're going to do this little faraway boat here. And the way I'm reading this is we have sky, mountain, then you can kind of see some water peeking through this sail. And then we have a boat here. And that this is the reflection of the boat. This doesn't make for a tall boat, but here's a skinny part of the boat and reflection. So we're going to do that next. So here's my horizon line. Here's my part of the boat. Kind of come in. Notice it's parallel to my horizon line. And at the bottom of my boat is also parallel. So we've got those together there. And then the sail is kind of attached. We want to go up, back. The post is here and into the boat. And then this part has got that gap for us to see. Now, because I know I'm going to use oil pastels, I'm thinking that this gap might be a bit small. So I'm going to get one of my classroom erasers. I'm going to erase the X-ray vision out of there so that we have no mountains in our sail. And even though that's probably accurate, I'm going to leave a bigger distance here so that it can be seen when we color with our chunky crayons. And you'll see what I mean later. Trust me on this. That's the best choice for this art supply. All right, we already have one boat. So you got the little guy right there. So notice to make a rectangle, I have kind of made the sky a bit smaller, and I made this boat maybe a little bigger, maybe not. It's pretty good. Okay, So next we're gonna do the bigger boat. Okay, so that bigger boat is going to nestle kind of right in here next to that. So I'm thinking about that location, and I might as well just go ahead and put a post. There we go, and then a taller post. See, it'll be the same. There we go, and then how the sail comes across everybody here. And it looks like it's a little bit drooping right there. So that will be our kind of our line for that. And then this one's going to come down. And we're going to go like, it looks kind of looks like a big Dorito chip. So get a Dorito chip out of a bag and draw it. No, just kidding. It would work though. Okay, so we've got that in place, and now I'm going to erase the X-ray vision from my little mountains back there. Okay. Nothing else is going to happen on this side, so I can make these mountains a little darker for you to see them. And notice I didn't make them match their reference exactly, so yours don't have to match their reference exactly either. So just kind of some gentle sloping mountains. All right. We have a sail doing its own thing all by itself. So now let me make that gap that we want to see. It's kind of like a really big less than sign. All right, so there's the top surface of the boat. And then here is the side of the boat. We won't draw the shadows now. We'll do that with our oil pastel later. All right, yay, boat number 2. We're trucking right along. Boat 1, boat number 2. It's pretty good, yep. All right, so we have, I'm gonna leave this little guy off. I'm sure that Fern painted it because when she was sitting there, it really existed. But I'm gonna leave it off because 3 is an odd number and is often better than 4, which is an even number. So we're gonna get this guy over here next. All right, so we're gonna skip a bit more space here. So let's see, I'm gonna do 2 fingers and then like maybe put a dot. So a little more than 2 fingers. So we got that dot there. And this time I'm gonna do the bottom of the boat so that we have that horizontal parallel to that. And then the inside of the boat comes down and up. Then I've got to skip a space. I'm going to have that coming up there. Now what's interesting is the sail is in front this time. So I'm going to do that. So the post is actually like back there. We can't see it. Well, we could see it right here, right? So let's put it right there. There it is. And then it swoops like the wind is catching it to there. And we'll have like some, we get to do this a lot. We've got some ropes holding things, which means we have a rope there and a rope here. We're gonna have little polka dots. No, well, they're not polka dots, but they're like where things are joining things. And this one's too far away. We can't see the ropes on that one. Okay. All right. I drew that on my boat. Yep, that's one of those like MC Escher impossible things are happening there. Oh well, so we have to take care of that. Here we go. Goodbye. Sorry, post. Okay. So we can't see it really. It would be about there. And there. And I'll erase the X-ray vision. Now you notice that the back of my boat doesn't exist yet. There will be kind of a tree thing happening over there. So I'm going to put the back of the boat on, but just know, depending upon where my tree is, we may or may not get to see that. And just like I did for this sail here, I might push this up a little because pushing that up Not realistic to the original reference, but it will make more sense with the media that we're using. There we go. So things don't look clumped. We have our 3 boats. Ta-da, ta-da. And I made the mountains darker here, but not over there, because again, when we do the tree, that will get covered. We're not going to do the tree yet. We're going to do the islands and the waterway coming through these islandy rocks next. So let's come down here to the corner. And so if this is my middle, I'll make a mark. If that's my middle, and this is my middle, I want this rock to be lower than the middle on this side, so maybe about there, maybe almost a little bit more than a quarter of the way. And I want it to stop maybe 2/3 of the way that way. So that's where it's going to stop. And I'm going to go something like that for my rock. That's a good one. I like that. Okay, and then there's another rock. So we're gonna do like a little diving board. Looks like my rock has a wild hair in his eyebrow. And then it's gonna go up, over, and down because it's behind. All right, and then this peninsula of the other island, so there's gonna be a gap there, so it's gonna go like this. Got this flat line there for this peninsula. And we need to find where we're headed over here. We should probably go, let's see, I'll find the middle on this side. We're probably going to go lower than the middle, but come up to the middle, and then kind of work our way down to that peninsula. It kind of looks like Mr. Burns's nose. Ooh. All right, we might have to fix that. I don't want to see Mr. Burns's nose every time I look at this picture. All right, and then I'm going to start about here and do some concave things to represent that the water is flowing in that direction. And I'm going to fix Mr. Burns's nose because we don't need that. Okay, we're going to do our best not to make Squidward's nose now. All right, that looks better. Now I won't see Mr. Burns here forever. Okay, so now we got our hills. Ta-da! Last but not least is the scraggly pine that's out here on this rock. So we don't want to be so close to the edge that we don't have room to do him and get his little branches there. And we don't want him all the way over here where he covers this boat, right? So I'm going to kind of think about that trajectory right there. So just kind of split this in half, go down, and about here, he's going to kind of go up from the rock like that. All right, so that's his little tree trunk. You can kind of see that shape. Okay, and then he's out here where the wind hits him and twists him and bends him around. So he's not a straight tree. So we just kind of play around with making him bend this way and then bend back that way. And that probably seems good. And then we're going to do that. Kind of follow him. He's dancing like one of those used car guys. This way, that way, and there we go. Kind of looks like a magic wand from Harry Potter or something. Right, so this was a little thick, so I'm gonna bend it a little more. So see how I'm using sketchy lines to find the shape that I want? It's a good idea because you can see it, but it'll be easy to erase because I haven't pressed with all my might. So now I can erase it and then draw back the ones that were the winners. So this is the winner for that main trunk of that bendy pine. Because a lot of times when we draw a tree, we draw it two-dimensional, but really trees are 3D, so some are coming straight at us. So You want to think about that. And so we're going to see our branches that kind of go this way, that way, this way, that way. Okay, so let's get those in there. So these are happening above the water here. So we have a branch. I'm going to worry about their thickness later. So one's kind of going that way. One's kind of going this way. One's going that way. Looks like I'm drawing a stick bug. One's going to go out and up. One's going to bend like that. All right, and is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Oh, there's like part of one that goes like that to make that thickness. We'll do that. All right, so there we have our stick tree lines, and then we're gonna go around them to make them a little thicker so we can put some color in there. Like that. Yes. We're going to make them a little wiggly. And obviously you don't want them to get as thick as your trunk here, so keep them a little on the thin side. All right, that seems good. Then we're going to erase out the insides and just leave the outsides. So there's my tree with the middles erased out so that it's just the contour on the outside of the wood parts. We're not going to worry about the greenery just yet. I know that sounds scary, but it'll be fine. We have all the hard things outlined here. And so we've got this ready, and it's time for you to take your Sharpie marker, and we're going to trace everything. So now we don't do sketchy lines, we do solid lines of authority. And don't worry, all will be well. And I know it's probably a newer marker with a nice tip on it. You haven't banged it on the table like maybe some of my students have with this one. I did notice when I sat down here that they had kind of decorated my eraser. There was a cute kitty face before I erased with it. So you guys will have to work a little harder not to have lines that are too narrow. And I know it sounds weird, but because we're going to color with crayons later and we've got to leave some space for some brown watercolor dye to go, we don't want to fill up every spot so that the brown can go there. And so having wider areas of black help leave spaces. I know, it sounds weird, but you'll see, you'll see. And so just trace with authority. Don't worry if it gets a little wide, all will be well. And the trick to tracing is see where you're going before you go there. All right, so you probably got to your tree about now and you're like, So you have to go around the outside of the contour in order to not fill it in, right? So if you're gonna leave any pencil line, leave it on the inside. So see, I'm going around, that way we have a space. So there it is, all traced. And then you're going to take your eraser and erase thoroughly any pencil lines anywhere so that we don't have the gray graphite showing up in our picture. Next, you'll notice that I printed out the crayon list that will be on the website at the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. And I've laid my colors out, choosing my best guess for which is what, because in a color copy, things don't always match exactly. So you'll notice that this yellow-orange that's pretty bright, like macaroni and cheese, looks a little bit dingy in the color copy. There's nothing we can do about that. Every color copy is different, and it might look right on yours and wrong on mine. I have a pretty high quality one though, so I'm guessing this is about as good as it gets. So anyway, I'm lined them up. That way I have them in the right order. And then some of you might have a colorless blender one that you can easily get confused between white and colorless blender. So just know that technically, if you've been doing the program a while, you might have number 26, which is an extender or colorless blender. And it looks a little bit like it could glow in the dark, but it doesn't. My kids have tried. They really are hopeful. All right, so that's our setup. So it'll be ready to go to do the coloring. I want to start with the lightest colors first. I want to do them because I want that nice glow, and if I wait too long, they might not show up with that same intensity. So first off, let's get our lemon yellow, and let's come back here to where the sunlight might be shining on the water behind the boats. So you probably can't even see it, but I'm doing a stripe. Oh, you can see it a little bit. I'm doing a stripe of it near to the edges back there. So it's what'll be peeking through there and right there. And that is very light, and that is back there. And we will have to do something more to it later, or all those spaces will turn brown in between. But we got it laid in now, so that's a good starting point. Then we're gonna skip to our yellow green. Let me make sure, yep, it's called yellow green. And so this one is going to be going this way. Notice I'm using the left to right kind of strokes, horizontal strokes. And I'm even going to go places that don't look so yellow-green. That's because we're going to mix the blue with it, because it's less blue than you would expect. Side to side, and then we're going to follow here and here. Here, and around this little cape, around there, and back in here. All right, so it's a lot of green. You're thinking, they should do something about all of that growing in that water, but it's just because this one is too blue, and we have to do that. So now we get to put this one over top, and it mixes beautifully. And you can see I do quite a bit more coloring because I didn't need a ton of the light green to tone it. I'm gonna put a little more blue that way, and it just looks really pretty to have that in there. Oops, I went on my line. So this is a really great spot to tell you, please don't use the black crepa, because if you do, it's going to smear around in places. It's very unpleasant. So just leave that guy alone. You'll notice he almost looks brand new in my box because we almost never use him. You could, like I have this coffee stirrer here, so you can use something to kind of scratch it off if it gets where you don't want it to be. See, that coffee stirrer works well. So you're welcome to scratch it off of there if that happens and clean it off so it doesn't get on somewhere. So just know you can scratch, but don't use the black crepa. Oh, and don't use the black Sharpie, because if you get this oily stuff on this black Sharpie, it won't work anymore. And then what will you do next month for our next project? So, okay, so that was important information. We will now continue. So that's what I've got so far for the blue, light green, and light yellow in my water. And you'll notice that my yellow was dirty and it got a little orange on there. I don't mind that at all. It actually looks kind of cool. It actually kind of matches ferns by accident, but oh well. So don't worry about that. All right, and then I'm going to clip into the sky, and I'm going to use the top of it to create like a blue sky up here, but below it will be clouds. So kind of and back up. All the way across. There we go. That will be our blue sky for now. All right, still got a lot to do. So don't worry if you don't like it. If you don't like it, it's still gonna work out. We're just too early to judge anything really. So we gotta continue to get where we're going. Okay, so next, I'm gonna get my buddy Prussian blue out. You know how I feel about Prussian blue, number 13. Lucky number 13. Here we go. So we're gonna kind of run a bit of a warbly line here and go back and forth for the shadowy bits there, back and forth, there. So that will be the shadow area under the boats. Kind of put those in place, and then let's put a little bit on this sail and a little bit on this sail. So these are not white sails. This would be hard because this kind of fits into, if I was teaching this to kids, they'd be like, but sails are white, right? Just like tables have 4 legs. So we have to draw a little bit more creatively to kind of get those shapes in place. All right, so I'm happy with that. And I'm gonna put some Prussian blue shadows to show that this is like a rock cliff kind of going up here. They tend to look a little bit more like a Cordovan brown. So we will definitely be mixing. I just need the darkness of the Prussian blue because we don't want to use black down there. Trust me. It gets out of hand. You could do one with black and then you could know, because sometimes you have to know for yourself. Just because I say it, you believe me, but you probably just don't know why I'm right until you do it yourself. So feel free. A lot of times people learn more by doing things, even doing the mistakes. They learn more that way. So we are fine with making mistakes. On that side, put a little shadow there. This picture is very fun. It's got a lot of colors, a lot of places to do things. So, all right, so that's enough for Prussian blue for now. Oh, we can play with Prussian blue on our trees. Okay, all right, so Prussian blue. These are the pom-poms coming at us. Pom, 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 pom. I'll give you a close-up in a minute of this, because okay, seems good. All right, so there we have, it looks very strange. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like synopsis or like some kind of, I don't know. You tell me what it looks like. At our next meetup, what does this look like? Like a sea creature or something? Or like those antennae that come out of those caterpillars that have the smelly stinkiness that come out. They like eat like dill or something and then like they scare away predators. Kind of looks like that. All right, so that's good that we have that there because that saves that area. Kind of has a monochromatic look right now, which is very appealing. It looks nice already, which is weird because art doesn't always look great early in its stages. So let's relish the fact that it looks nice now. All right, so we're gonna continue, and because we did do that Prussian blue over there, we're gonna go ahead and get the deep green and kind of color inside of the spaces that we made with Prussian blue. So this will be where the greenery will happen for our tree. Yeah. You can see that I'm trying not to go on my branches but I had to go across my trunk here. It's like it's wearing a little skirt now or something. All right, so it kind of makes like a circle almost for where that is. And if it looks too barren, you can add a little more. So this is, you know, the wind carves this tree out because it's standing out there on its own. It doesn't have any buddies to protect it. All right, and it looks pretty cool. Looks like we're still kind of sticking with our theme colors here a little bit. All right, and I'm just gonna put a little lines of dark green in my shadow. And there's a little green kind of on my island here. And a little green on my island there. And then a little green right there. That'll look cool. All right, done with deep green. We're gonna leave our nice monochromatic kind of look here, and we're gonna bring out the yellow orange. This is the one I said kind of looks like mac and cheese, and it doesn't color as well. So we'll give you its little buddies so you can see the difference. So this is yellow orange, this is yellow ochre, and this is regular orange. Okay, so you want this guy in the middle, regular orange, yellow ochre, regular orange, this bright one right here. Okay, I'm excited to get to use this. So you're gonna stick it on this rock right here. The sun must be hitting it, or it's got something going on. Do some right there, some kind of behind on that rock. All right, so very gently, I'm gonna put some of this on my sail, because if I don't, my color choices, I have like pink and purple to put back there. And they'll just look too, I'm a first grade girl and pink and purple are my favorite colors, or I'm gonna fight with my best friend that purple's the best and pink is not. So we need something to tone down the purple and the pink so it won't be super bright. So we're gonna use orange, and that should help it look a little bit more muted. So so some of the places will be bright when we're done, and some of them will be muted. So that's the plan. Going on down. Okay, that seems like enough there. Since we brought it up, let's go ahead and get our light purple. So one is called purple and one is called light purple. And honestly, if you get these messed up, nothing bad will come of it. They're so similar, it probably won't matter, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna use the light purple first. So see me working, that's the light purple. Oh yeah, it's gonna go on top of the orange and the Prussian blue and make that sail. Look at that, very cool. Color, and I'm using a fair amount of pressure because I don't want to rub with my finger to mix these together. It's not because I don't want to, but it's because the brown watercolor that we're going to put on it later, it won't work as well if the crayons are thinned out, and that happens when you blend it with your finger, that it gets thinned out. So you want it nice and thick, and that'll keep your picture from turning too brown later. So that's pretty important, actually. It's an important thing. So that's how that looks for now, and then we're going to put some more purple here. Yay! Some purple there, little purple. You know what? I'm going to color this with my left hand so you can see that I'm going to blend it with this Prussian blue to make like a line of dark purple going that way, so you can see from the camera. And then I'm gonna blend it this way to get that darker purple going this way too. All the way up there, there, and then if it gets really messy, you can wipe it off on a paper towel or you can clean off there, because I do think I want just some regular purple coming this way over here. That stands out just like that. Oh, that's so fun. Since we're mixing purples and blues together, let's get our ultramarine blue and let's do a line at the bottom of our mountains in the distance back there. So I got those. So I didn't go under the Sharpie, I went just above the Sharpie. And I'm not going to go on my tree trunk, but I will go on the spaces between the trees. And then let's get the regular purple, the dark purple, and we're gonna go on the ultramarine and all the way to the rest of the mountain with this color. Because we've got some Purple Mountains Majesty. They're pretty low, they're like low-lying hills. I don't think I've ever heard someone come home and say, oh, the Great Mountains in Massachusetts, but I could be wrong. Might have to look this up. Gonna learn how to pronounce her name and find out if there's any great mountains there. I'm being careful not to color on the trunk of my tree, just going in the negative spaces there. It is Olive Brown's turn. It's like number 21 on our list. Olive Brown. Okay, so he has quite a lot to do here. You can see him coming between and near these purples. And he's going to be very touching these oranges. All the way out to the tip of the peninsula here. Gonna do the rest of this rock. It's a nice little rock. And we gotta go on the other side of our tree too. All right. Maybe a little more. Okay, so that's kind of going in any of the empty spaces up here and there, and then we'll go on this edge of this rock as well, but there's a little bit more coming back here. And so gray is going to get involved in this like mid area here. So I'm trying not to cover up the colors I have. Of course, nobody's perfect, but I'm trying to just go in between, and I've made it difficult for myself, but it's worth it. It's worth it, worth it, worth it. Because it's gonna look better to have all those colors than to just have one color. And I'm gonna go up to this tree here and just past it. There, so I'm going to kind of leave that. Got plans for green, I think, over there. All right, and let's put in the inside of the boat like a misty gray color in this gap here. And let's do that in the gap there and there. Okay, and let's blend our shadows a little with this gray. Yeah, because remember we had the Prussian blue and we had the deep green, and so the gray blends that together makes for a good shadow. And I'm coloring side to side. If I colored up and down, it would mess up the fact that it's reflection in the water. All right, and then let's get some gray coming in the water here to this rock. It is now light orange's turn. It's the peachy color one. It's called light orange. All right, and so I'm just gonna put, all right, so I gotta knock off some chunks. I'm gonna put a little swirls of pink up here, or peach, sorry, peach, because that's gonna be in the bottom area of the clouds. And then I'm gonna put some pink lines here and peach lines here. I mean, we will use some pink too, just to be clear, but I'm kind of filling in the rest of these kind of whitish areas with some side-to-side lines of peach. That will help tone down the greens a bit too. We will get some more green eventually, but we're going to put a little peach down here and over there. So peach kind of just went in the rest of the white places in the water. And oops, I got on my tree. Gonna have to scratch it off of there. All right. It's good to have that pale orange in there because there's a lot of empty space, and this will help a lot. The peach is calmer than a pink, so it will neutralize some of the greens and help us out. Okay, so let's get some pink, because pink is pleasant. So we can even put a little bit more pink on here, on these sails, kind of brightens it up a bit at the top here. And then we can pink the right side of this shadow there. And add some pink across. The trick with this picture is you just keep at it. You don't stop. I mean, you can take breaks, but you don't say to yourself, that's good enough. You just kind of keep adding colors and colors, and then after we use all 25, we'll be done. So feel free to stop the video at any time if you need a break from all these colors. But I love colors, so I'm going to keep going. And I don't know why all these colors are in this picture. I just love it. Maybe Fern is an artist like myself that just likes all the colors. Everybody sees a little differently though, so this maybe is what it looked like to her. All right, that's looking cool. Okay. We've already used it once, but it is Yellow Green's turn again. I'll peel the paper back because he's going to go getting into things. So I'm going to fill in this gap with a little bit of greenery kind of growing up there. That looks cool. Mixed with that Prussian blue and some little shrubs. I'm going to do a little bit of blending with this one on this rock too. Blendy, 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 blendy. Okay. And then I know I'd already put some here, but now it's time to go a little darker with it. So you've got other colors for it to play in. So it didn't look so garish and strong now that we have some peach there. And we get to go back in here. All right, and, ooh, we can make these like leafy bits nice and scribble in some light green into those guys. There we go. Oh yeah, very cool. All right, and we're gonna get our light blue back again, so it can be a bit more plentiful. We didn't want the blue in first because then when we were putting in the peach, we couldn't have covered so much of the area. It would have blended the light blue. But if we go back on top, then see the light blue can have little lines now that don't get blended by the peachiness. We definitely want some blue in between here now. Now that we know where our greenery is. Cool. We can even go on the shadows with the light blue. Little snoop in there. Okay, we're going to get our, let's get our ultramarine blue out again. We need a little bit more. Nope, he doesn't like to go on top of colors. He gets dry. We're gonna get our cobalt instead. So this is the cobalt blue. This is like number 15. And we're gonna get the shadowy striations coming from this side, going that way. And our water, so it flows over these rocks in this little gap. So basically from this rock to here, we just got lines following this side and going over these rocks. All right, so let's see, we can do a little bit of this on the edges of our shadows. I don't know why they have long shadows and this one just has a short shadow. Maybe it has to do with what sunlight is coming through the clouds. But oh well, it is what it is. We did it. Okay, our white has been through a lot, at least mine has. So we're gonna go up into the sky and we're gonna color everything white here in between, because if we don't, we will have a brown sky. And I'm gonna go on the light blue. I'm gonna go in circles so it blends the light blue and comes down. So we're gonna do the whole sky all the way to the mountain. Blendy, circle, 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 circle. I feel like a street sweeper when I do the circles like that. Circle, 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 all the way across. So there's the results on my sky of going in circles on the light blue and on the peach and on the white, and I stopped at the mountains. And of course, I can use my sticks to get those back. Any black line that got covered, you can just scratch it back. You can use toothpicks too. There. So anywhere it went away, it's not a problem. This paper is very strong. This was a watercolor paper, so it will cooperate for any scratching you need to do. All right, that looks cool. All right, I still have more things to do with white. So if it has blue on it and you don't want it to have blue on it, you can clean it off. So I'm gonna go side to side where we put the lemon yellow to get it very bright up here. And I'm just gonna go right on those black lines because I can scratch it off. I'm gonna go all the way to the boat and do across the top on the water to the boat all at once instead of coming back. I'm gonna take care of that. All right, so I've made it about to there all the way across. And that way I didn't get these other darker colors in it, okay? So now, yes, I will do even more blending side to side, but I'm not gonna go on the shadows with the white, right? So I'm gonna go in the middle, side to side, and blend those. And I'm using white, I'm not using a colorless blender on this. So, I mean, if you do use the colorless blender, it looks good too. It just won't be as light, it'll be a different color. All right, and then under here, I'm not gonna do the whole water with it. Instead, I'm just gonna go on those edges that was the light blue and green mixed together. Okay, woohoo, all right. Move away little schnooglins. If I had a brush, I'd brush those. It's yellow ochre's turn. All right, so we're gonna use some yellow ochre to blend like in between the oranges and the purples up here. Go a little bit onto the gray, just a little bit to kind of brighten that up. And mostly it's going where the olive brown color was, but if there's any white showing near the orange or near the tree, I'm gonna go there with it. And I'm gonna use it over here where I put a lot of green on this rock. All right, and I know this is confusing. I still have spots because I want the brown paint to go there, but I am gonna put a few little stripes of gold, the yellow ochre, in this little water to show that it's going across rocks. So this water's shallow as it flows down into this body of water. All right, and I have more places to scratch off with my sticks. Let's use the light blue a little more to do a few more horizontal lines now that we've blended with the other colors, because the horizontal lines really help to show that it's water. And I won't go too high, I'll stay down low. And some of you might be like, oh my gosh, when are we gonna do the tree and the boats? You're making me crazy, Miss Alayne, because they've just been empty this whole time. Yeah, well, it's time. Okay, so I'm gonna get my red out. Yay, red. Okay, and I'm gonna put a little red in there so you can see that it's kind of transparent red. You can see through it a bit. And the reason you can see through is the bumps of the paper. So it's darker on top of the bumps and it leaves little gaps in the valleys between the bumps where the red can't get to it. I want to put red down here. So we're gonna get some red and put it where this Prussian blue is down here. Yep, along the edges. I'm glad I did that. All right, so yes, red will go here as well, where the Prussian blue was down there. Okay, next we're gonna get our Van Dyke brown. This is what you wanted to put on the tree before I told you to put red there. You just needed red first. Now you're gonna put a little Van Dyke brown on there. Kind of blend that red around. It would have been boring if we just put brown on there alone, so, you know, boring is my enemy, so we had to do something to make it a little bit more exciting. All right, and then on our boats, we're gonna get our Prussian blue back for them. Put some Prussian blue in there. See, all those little details really don't matter much at this point because these are so chunky, it's hard to stay in there. So we're inspired by the picture, to make the impression of these boats, but we're not gonna make ourselves crazy trying to make them exactly the same. Let's use our vermilion, which is almost like red, and this will blend away any spots that the red and the Prussian blue didn't fill. So we get those filled right now. Nice. And if you want, you can put some vermilion on your tree, but you don't have to. I like it though. Oh yeah. Cool beans. You know, it looks pretty cool just like this, so. Ta-da! All right, I'm gonna spend some time with my stick now, clearing off parts that got crepa on them. So I encourage you to do that next. Don't have to scratch other places, just where the Sharpie is that you can't see anymore. If you accidentally scratch too far, oh no, I went too far, then just get some pink and fill that back in again. So you don't want that to go away. I've scratched off all of the Sharpie lines that I really care about. The rest, I don't think they matter so terribly much. But before we put our brown paint on, I think I'd like to put a little bit of white on some of these rocks over here so that they stand out a little bit more. So kind of where the gray rocks and the purple rocks are. Just gonna get a little brighter there so they stand out on the surface of this island. And I could do a little bit there even though it's not like that, but I like it, so I'm doing it. There we go. All right, I've gotten my brown watercolor dye. I've got my sponge. It is not wet, it is dry. And now that I'm getting ready to put this dark brown paint everywhere, it makes me slightly nervous. Like, what if I didn't color hard enough in places? So, since I really like this white edge here, I'm going to take some more white and I'm going to make sure that my glowy edge next to this shadow is quite glowy. I'm going to make sure that this little part right here is quite glowy. Even though I'm fairly sure I did it, it's just better safe than sorry, as we always say, to get those kind of glowy places in there, because if it's just empty paper, it's going to turn brown. So, and it might not be the kind of charming brown that you're hoping for. I'm hoping for charming brown, not Charlie Brown, but charming brown. So I'm just going to make extra sure that next to my shadows are bright. Yes, okay. All right, okay. I got to stop sometime because they'll just turn into whiteness. Okay, so we have this. If you have schnoodlings on there like I do, you can tap it. Oh, look at all those schnoodlings. All right, then you're going to take your liquid watercolor. It is brown. It is goopy. It looks like I'm ruining it, but this is a cool thing, so don't worry. So you're going to go. You maybe don't even need that much, but I want enough that it slides around. I don't want it to be like trying to go down a water slide with no water on it. And okay, then we're not trying to clean the floor here, okay? So let's just kind of gently, never use the scrubby side, for instance. So we just want to coax it into our picture. Okay, so yeah, so I use more than necessary. Oh yeah, I would use way too much. All right, so you don't have to use that much. That's what I just learned. Maybe this. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to push it off of my paper onto my messy mat there. And I'm still happy. I mean, it's just that you probably don't have that much brown paint. And there was just no need to use all of that. I could probably have done 3 pictures with that amount. So I'm still using my left to right motion, or kind of going in one direction. I'm not going to go up and down because again, I want that water feeling. And I'm just kind of coaxing it all off onto the side here on the left. All right, that's probably as good as I'm going to get with just my sponge. You can see it's starting to separate because oil and water doesn't mix. But that's not going to be enough. So I'm going to get a paper towel and I'm going to go in that direction too. And then it reveals our masterpiece. Yes, I love it. Yay! Success. You can see my paper towel is getting more of the schnoodlings off, which is lovely. And I'm going to clean off the tape. All right, so that's what it looks like now, which is amazing because it very much looks like ferns. Wow, cool. All right, and so now you can take your tape off by loosening the corners and pulling away at a right angle away from your art. Yay! Ta-da! And if you have a pencil or a pen, you can sign right here on this white edge. You don't want to sign with a marker on the Sharpie because, again, it will kill markers. I'm so happy. I'm glad I went back and did the white. See the difference of where the white is there? That really helps that shadow stand out. Oh, so happy. All right. See you next time.